He was thrown out of the bank with mockery and humiliation, labeled a symbol of hate because of his red MAGA hat. The manager openly refused to serve him, unaware that this unwelcome customer was in fact the bank's new owner. When the truth came to light, her arrogance backfired in the most unexpected way. But what happened next shocked everyone who witnessed it. Jack Miller steps out of his pickup truck and walks toward the massive glass doors of a prestigious downtown bank branch. His appearance draws attention. A casual jacket, jeans, and a red cap emblazoned with bold white letters reading, "Make America Great Again." Adjusting the cap out of habit, he pays no mind to the stares of passers-by. Inside, the bank welcomes him with a luxurious interior, polished marble floors that gleam as if freshly cleaned, ceiling lights casting a soft glow to accentuate every elegant detail. Jack approaches the information desk, where a young woman with a flawless hairstyle and a cold expression sits. Her badge reads, "Sarah Green, Senior Manager." "Good morning. I'd like to consult about my business account," Jack says calmly, handing her his ID. Sarah glances at him quickly, then her eyes linger on his cap. Her expression shifts instantly. The corners of her lips tighten, and a faint trace of mockery flickers in her eyes. "Do you have an appointment, sir?" she asks, her voice icy and mechanical. "No, but that's never been an issue before," Jack replies, sensing the tension in her tone. Sarah blatantly looks him over, her gaze pausing on the cap. She sets the ID aside without even opening it. "I think you'd be better off visiting another branch. We don't serve clients like you here." "Clients like me?" Jack tilts his head slightly, his tone calm but firm. "I've been a customer of this bank for years. What exactly do you mean by clients like me?" "Sir, I don't have to explain myself. We reserve the right to refuse service," she replies, her voice louder now, ensuring others in the lobby can hear. Some people start turning their heads. Jack can feel their gazes, curious, judgmental. Someone snickers quietly, and one customer murmurs to their companion, "Look at that hat. What did he expect?" Jack pauses, refusing to rise to the provocation. "I'm not leaving until I speak to someone about my account," he states confidently. Sarah sighs, as if his request is an enormous burden, and turns to the security guard standing nearby. "Mike, please escort him out." The guard, a large man with a stern demeanor, walks over to Jack. His voice is deep but tinged with regret. "Sorry, sir, but you really should leave. Let's not make this a bigger issue." Jack stares at him for a moment, but doesn't argue. Adjusting his cap, he picks up his ID and turns toward the exit. "Thanks for the warm welcome," he says over his shoulder as he leaves the bank. Outside, under the glass facade, he pauses and glances back at the building. Quietly, he mutters to himself, "Not bad. Let's see how you handle me next time." Jack gets into his truck, his expression calm, but a determined spark flickers in his eyes. 2 days later, Jack Miller pulls up to the same bank, this time with no intention of backing down. He wears the same red MAGA cap, now perfectly clean and pressed, along with a neatly ironed shirt and dark jeans. This time, he's armed with documentation for his business accounts and a new contract requiring immediate approval. As he enters the building, the atmosphere feels even more tense. Sarah Green notices him from a distance, her lips tightening as she spots him. Her expression hardens, her fingers tapping nervously on her keyboard. The moment Jack approaches the desk, she rises, visibly bracing herself for confrontation. "You again?" Her voice is sharp, laced with irritation she doesn't bother hiding. "Yes, again," Jack replies calmly. "I'm here to sort out my accounts. Hopefully you're ready to do your job today." Sarah scowls, turning to glare at the security guard. "Mike, you know we don't deal with customers like this. Please remove him." This time, her words are louder, clearly intended for the entire room to hear. A few customers glance over, watching the situation unfold with interest. Jack holds her gaze steadily, his tone calm but unyielding. "Are you sure you want to do this again?" "Absolutely," Sarah snaps. "You're not the kind of client we want here." Security guard Mike approaches once more, his unease evident as he speaks softly. "Sir, I'm sorry. but I have to ask you to leave." This time, Jack doesn't budge. Instead, he pulls documents from his folder and lays them on the desk. "This is my contract," he says, his voice loud enough for others to hear. "It's worth more than your annual salary, Ms. Green. You might want to reconsider before refusing me again." Sarah picks up the papers, flipping through them with an exaggerated air of indifference before handing them back dismissively. "This changes nothing," she declares. "You're violating our bank's policies." "What policies?" Jack demands, his tone sharp. "Where in your guidelines does it say clients can't wear hats?" Her face flushes slightly, but she holds her ground. At that moment, another employee, a younger consultant named Tom, steps out from the back office, clearly having overheard the exchange. "Excuse me, Mr. Miller?" Tom says politely, ignoring Sarah entirely. "If you'd like, I can assist you." "No, Tom," Sarah interjects harshly. "This client will not be served at our branch." Jack looks at her with a piercing gaze before calmly gathering his documents and placing them back into his folder. "All right," he says, smiling faintly. "It seems I've wasted enough time on you. See you later." He turns and walks out, leaving the lobby in stunned silence. Sarah, confident in her victory, casts a smug glance after him, oblivious to the disapproval in Tom's eyes. Outside, Jack climbs into his truck. His expression remains composed, but this time the determination in his eyes burns brighter. This is no longer frustration. It's the resolve of a man who knows exactly how to address injustice. The next day begins quietly at the bank branch. Employees, including Sarah Green, are immersed in their routine tasks. However, the atmosphere changes abruptly midday when a group of board members arrives, accompanied by assistants and security personnel. Their presence creates a stir. Noticing the delegation, Sarah quickly adjusts her blazer and straightens up, trying to appear professional. Leading the group is a tall man in a formal suit. He nods to a security guard, who opens the door for him and heads directly towards Sarah's desk. At that moment, Jack Miller walks in. His appearance takes Sarah by surprise. Jack removes his cap, his confident demeanor evident. "Good afternoon," the man in the suit says to Sarah. "We're here for an urgent meeting. Prepare the conference room." Sarah nods without asking questions and hurries off, throwing a quick, suspicious glance at Jack. Meanwhile, Jack calmly follows the delegation as though it's the most natural thing in the world. Sarah finds his presence unsettling, but decides against saying anything. Minutes later, all the bank employees are gathered in the main hall. Jack stands with the delegation, his calm demeanor impossible to miss. Sarah, along with the others, stands at a distance, watching the unfolding scene with curiosity. "Colleagues," the man in the suit begins, "we've gathered here today to introduce you to our new owner. Please welcome Mr. Jack Miller." A stunned silence fills the room. Sarah freezes in place, her face betraying shock, fear, and confusion as she stares at Jack, struggling to process what just happened. Jack steps forward, pulls out his red cap, and puts it on, locking eyes with Sarah. "Thank you, John," he says to the man in the suit, before turning his attention to the staff. "Over the past few days, I've learned a lot about how this bank operates and how it treats its clients. Unfortunately, I personally experienced violations of the very values we, as a company, are supposed to uphold." He pauses, surveying the room. The staff glance at one another, realizing his words are directed at Sarah. "Any customer could have been in my position," Jack continues, "and that is unacceptable. Starting today, there will be changes, beginning with our personnel and their attitudes toward people." Sarah attempts to interject. "Mr. Miller, this is a misunderstanding. I was only following—" "A misunderstanding," Jack interrupts, his voice calm but firm. "For 2 days in a row, you humiliated me in front of other customers, violated corporate standards, and refused service without reason. This isn't a misunderstanding. It's a problem that needs to be addressed." A tense silence descends upon the room. Jack shifts his gaze to John. "John, how do we usually handle situations like this?" "With an internal investigation, followed by appropriate measures. John replies with a slight smile. Realizing the severity of her situation, Sarah tries to speak again, but Jack raises a hand to stop her. "I think we already know the result," he says, looking directly at her. "Today is your last day." Sarah turns pale, her eyes darting around the room, seeking support, but no one steps forward. Jack addresses the remaining staff. "I hope we can now start working with integrity and respect for all customers, regardless of their views." He removes his cap, places it back on with a faint smile, and calmly walks to his new office. A few days after Sarah Green's dismissal, the bank branch begins to settle into a new rhythm under Jack Miller's leadership. However, the events surrounding her firing spark considerable buzz. Rumors about the new owner in the MAGA cap spread among employees and clients. Some question whether Jack's decision was fair. Aware of these sentiments, Jack decides to set the record straight. He organizes a meeting with both employees and clients in the main hall of the bank to share his vision for change. At the appointed time, the hall fills with people. Employees line the walls, and clients take the front rows. Among them is a young employee, Tom, the same one who had tried to assist Jack during the conflict with Sarah. Jack steps forward, dressed in a sharp dark suit, but the signature red cap remains. Surveying the crowd, his voice is steady but kind. "I understand that recent events have raised a lot of questions," he begins. "Let me explain why this is important, not just to me, but to every one of you." He pauses, allowing the audience to focus. "I came into this bank as a client," he continues, "an ordinary person here to take care of business. But instead of respect, I encountered bias and humiliation, all because of this cap." He removes the cap, holding it up for all to see. "To some, it's just a hat. To others, it's a symbol of political beliefs. But one thing I know for sure. No symbol gives anyone the right to demean another person. We're a bank, and our job is to help people, not judge them." Several employees lower their heads, clearly recognizing their mistakes. Tom, however, looks at Jack with admiration. "I didn't dismiss Sarah Green because of her views," Jack adds. "I dismissed her for violating professional standards. She thought she had the right to decide who deserved service and who didn't. That's not her job, and it's not our job either." A low murmur of approval sweeps through the audience. Jack smiles and continues. "But this is just the beginning. I want this bank to become a place where every client feels respected and where employees take pride in their work. That's why I'm launching a new training program for staff, focusing not just on professional skills, but also on respectful communication." He steps aside and gestures for Tom to join him at the front. "I also want to thank those who already exemplify the right attitude. Tom, thank you for staying true to our values even in a difficult situation. You deserve a promotion." Tom smiles shyly as the crowd applauds. Jack leans in and quietly says, "Thank you for standing by me. It meant a lot." After the meeting ends, employees discuss what they've heard, while clients approach Jack to express their gratitude. Among the first is an elderly woman. "Young man," she says, gripping his hand, "thank you for showing these young people how important respect is. I'll be banking here again." Jack smiles, gives a small bow, and replies, "Thank you for your trust. We won't let you down." From that day forward, the bank begins to change. Sarah becomes a thing of the past, her behavior serving as an example of what not to do. Under Jack's leadership, the atmosphere grows friendlier, and the number of clients increases. The final scene shows Jack, still wearing his signature MAGA cap, personally greeting every new client, demonstrating that in this bank, everyone matters.